All right, so now we're going to set up that distortion that we looked at. Right now, all we're doing is blurring, which has a cool effect, and it makes it feel like there's a pane of glass or something in front of our font, which is cool. And so we want to kind of use the same concept, only we want to actually displace the pixels so that it looks like maybe it's glass that's damaged in some way and it's refracting light a little bit differently. So we're going to set it up with the same idea, same method here. So I'll go ahead and take one of these, this guy, toss it in the layer stack, and I want to use some of the stuff that's going on over here. So I'm going to put that motion tile on this layer as well. Make it 3D, expand the width, mirror edges, and just want to find a cool spot. I'll move it forward. Whoops. And maybe this layer will sit maybe in front of our blur. We'll experiment with that. Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and pre-compose this. We'll call it ice. Okay, move all attributes into the new composition. All right, so we know it's a 3D layer inside, so we'll just turn on our collapse transformation. And that's cool. So we can turn this layer off now. Go to our adjustment layer, and we want a displacement map. Cool. And we want to grab the ice layer. And we can leave it at source, but we want to change this horizontal displacement to use the luminance and the vertical displacement as well. And then we can just move these settings just a little bit. Okay, so what's happening is the white pixels are being displaced in a positive direction and the darker pixels are being displaced in a negative direction. So if we were to set this to be middle gray, moving from middle gray to white, then we'll actually get the effect of keeping most of our text pretty sturdy. So that's just a matter of remapping these colors. We can do that with levels if we want. Whoops, sorry. Oh, I'm a mess. Okay. We can put levels on here, and we can change this this output black to be half of 255. So that would be 128, around there, 127.5. So I'll just type that in. So now we have middle gray moving from middle gray to white. Now if we hop back into our main and we start adjusting our values, you can see that our font, for the most part, is staying in the center, and some of those little smaller details are moving, getting displaced, which is exactly what we want. And you might find that the effect starts to break apart or look sort of low quality. One way you can fix that a little bit is to add a Gaussian blur, or we can use a fast blur actually. Whoops. And just set this to 1 or even 0.5. And it just takes some of the edge, that hard aliasing, off of our displacements. And actually, instead of applying it to the adjustment, I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to go right into my ice comp and paste it here. There we go. Oops. Okay. So let's see if things are moving the way we want them to. So I don't think it looks too great. So I'm going to just move this layer around and just try to get some more distortion, just to try to make it look a little better. It's a little too soft, a little too subtle right now. So you can experiment with the amount of displacement, the type of images that you're using as your source. That's going to make a big difference. And then what your actual values are that are driving the effect itself. That's also going to make a big difference. And then the layer order is going to make a difference too. Like, you can see that I'm distorting my compound blur. Well, if I come in here and I place the compound blur below the displacement map, then it's actually kind of maybe a nicer effect. It just kind of depends what you're going for. But now I have the blur that's very sharply defined and the distortion happening underneath it. And I think I like that better. Now, if you're going to composite it that way, it might make more sense to make sure that our layer is, our compound blur layer, which is the fingerprints layer, is actually in front of our ice layer. Okay, and it is. So that's cool. You might want to move them so they're close to each other. And that's cool. Could shut them off. Okay. That's fine. I mean, it's really muddy, but it's okay. I would spend more time really making this look good, which I did in my example. And I'll leave you guys the project files for that. So that's good. Everything's working the way we want it to. So now, what I want to do is add our hand element in. So I just need to pause the recording. I'll be right back.